Okay, welcome back to another Mvskoke Media Livewire. Today we're going to be speaking with MCN citizen Brenda Golden about a Strength and Solidarity for Tribal Sovereignty and Treaty Rights meeting that's going to happen tomorrow. And thanks for being on the program today, Ms. Golden. And tell me about the event.
Well, actually, what we're having is a demonstration in support of our reservation and our treaty rights, kind of in response, well, not kind of, actually in response to the one-sided community forum being held by the Tulsa County District Attorney tomorrow evening. When you look at the lineup of speakers there, it's obvious that it's just meant to inflame the public and play on victims' pain and suffering to try to get elected officials that are going to be in attendance to turn against our treaty rights.
So this event or this protest, what's it going to consist of, and like what's the game plan for? And by the way, for the audience that's watching this, I have a link to the flyer in the description of this video. If you want to click it for contact information, dates and times, it's in there. But talk a little bit about what the what the actual event's going to be, and then what's your objectives. What do you hope to accomplish with it?
Well, I'm calling this a demonstration of support. It's not actually a protest because we are here to let elected officials and the public know that we're peaceful and that we support our treaty rights, we support our reservation, and that the outcome of this is that I'm hoping we'll have other groups besides Autonomous AIM, the Seminole Treaty People, and Spirit, who have all signed on now. There's one more that's run by May Tiger that's also coming, that we stand together in unity, and then at 5:30 we're going to walk together to the convention center so that we can sit together and show a united front to the public and to the elected officials and to the district attorneys of all the Native people who are in support of our reservation status and our treaty.
Well, those are some big groups, and I just, since we're talking about groups that are involved in it, have you guys contacted any of the tribal nations? Was there any? Are they going to be involved in any way, or is it just going to be a non-governmental type of thing?
Well, right now I have directly contacted the Mvskoke Creek Nation PR department, as well as Chief Hill directly, myself, inviting them, because we will have a portable speaker and would like to hear from a representative of the Creek Nation. Other members of our group have reached out to Chief Batten. I believe that citizens of their own nations should reach out to their own elected officials. So that's what's happened with the Choctaw Nation and the Cherokee Nation have both been contacted and told about our demonstration. And of course, any representative that wants to have time to speak tomorrow in support of our treaties is more than welcome. We've asked all representatives to come.
So, and I just want to remind the audience again, the link to the flyer with all the contact information and everything is in the video description. And also, if you're watching this and you have any questions about the event or generally, you can pop them into our YouTube chat right now and we'll try to get them answered. Is one of the objectives of this to get into the forum so that you guys can make actual statements in the actual forum that's going to take place? Is that what's going to happen here? Because I know that it mentions that there might be you guys are going to march down to the DoubleTree. Is that correct? Kind of like, what's the objective there with that?
Well, we're not to the DoubleTree. We're marching to the Cox Business Center.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, the other way around.
Yeah, to enter together so that we can sit together and make a statement. Yes.
Okay.
We'll have a visual statement, as well as if there's an opportunity for comments from the crowd. Certainly, anyone that's there has the freedom to speak up outside of the. I'm just asking us to present a united front, and that's what this is mainly about.
Yeah, and it's focused on a peaceful front, not that there wouldn't be any type of violent protest or anything, obviously.
No. On public property, on the sidewalk. And it's just a block away from the Cox Business Center, and so that we can reach as many participants coming and going from that facility as we possibly can.
So if you're a citizen or you're a tribal citizen of any of these tribes involved in this, which is basically all of them,
All five.
yeah, and you can't attend this, what would you recommend that they could do to try to support what you guys are trying to achieve and to combat some of what we're seeing, just like the non-representation of tribal citizens in these types of forums? Like, what could they do? What would you recommend they do?
The first and foremost thing that they can do is contact their legislator and their congressional representative, the person in Congress, which we have 2 senators, Langford and Inhofe, and then we have our House representatives, and I believe Tom Cole and Mark Wayne Mullen are supposed to be in attendance tomorrow evening. Go figure. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, you're fine.
But contact them, because what the state is asking the federal government to do is to come in and create legislation by Congress to, again, strip us of our reservation status, because Congress is the only one that can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And put us back to where we were before the McGirt ruling. So if we want to uphold our treaty and uphold our reservation status as Indian country, then now's the time to speak up, because tomorrow evening they will be in attendance, and they need to hear from everybody, not just one side.
Yeah, and something that I think is interesting about this whole process and this situation is that under the McGirt ruling by the Supreme Court, the individuals that would be most affected by this would be Native Americans, because they're the ones that how they are policed is being changed. Like the regular Oklahoman, the non-native Oklahoman citizen, like the local police are still the people that are going to show up for them, and et cetera, right? So it doesn't make a lot of sense, just if you're looking at it, to have a citizen forum on an issue that really doesn't affect them. How do you know what I mean? Like, how, if you are a non-native citizen and with the jurisdictional setup that we are operating under now post McGirt decision, how does the policing affect you? You see what I mean? If anything, yeah, you would want tribal citizens into this meeting, because they're the ones who's going to be directly affected.
Except for there have been some wide media reports, and even non-media that, I'm sorry for stumbling, if the victim is a Native American, even if the perpetrator or the person who was convicted is not Native, if the victim
mm-hmm.
is Native, then that falls under McGirt.
Yes. So
we have non-Native criminals who have gotten out or had their sentences overturned, and that's made a big whatever you want to call it, resounding bang in the community, because that non-Native criminal that did something to a victim that was Native American
mm-hmm.
now falls under McGirt. So
right. But the impact on that, like, that's what I'm saying, like this forum is a community impact forum. So mm-hmm. the theory set forth for it is we're going to have a forum where people who are impacted could come forward and speak. And in that scenario too, the victim of that was a Native American. In that scenario, and the criminal or the perpetrator that was convicted is a non-native, and I guess you could say that he was impacted if this person got out of jail. He would go to this forum and he would say, "It's great, like I got out of jail." but I assume they're asking for the impact on just the general citizenry, and those should be predominantly Native Americans that are impacted, right? Like that's who the complaints should be coming from, is Native Americans saying either I'm not getting the police coverage that I think I should be getting, or what. It just seems strange to me that they're in the media. We've seen from all these outlets publicizing the non-inclusion of Native tribes or Native groups in these impact forums, when they're the predominant people who've been impacted by the decision. For a non-Native, the jurisdiction change and all that thing kind of doesn't even really apply to them unless they committed a crime against a Native American,
Right.
And I don't know if that's like we need to hear from them, other than in court. So, but well, I want to thank you.
That's the main argument, is that the victims now aren't getting justice because the persons who committed the crime have had their sentences overturned. But I have a whole different take on that as a defense attorney.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very high percentage of Native American and people of color in prison, even though we're a small minority in the state.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because of systemic racism and the injustice system against our people that prey on the poor and the people of color. So this is a chance for us to take our sovereignty and prosecute our own and handle our own affairs. And that's what I'm advocating for.
Well, now that you bring that up too, I think it's an interesting thing. I'd like to get your opinion as a citizen on the recent push and legislation to remove critical race theory and stuff from education, and now they're going to have meetings where they're going to say, we don't want to upset certain groups in the school by teaching history about this. What is your opinion of that? And it's the same kind of parties, Governor Stitt, etc.
Well, critical race theory is built on that terminology, systemic racism, that's built into our system. But as many of us know, this whole country was built on a racist attitude, built on slavery, built on the genocide of indigenous people. And to try to say that didn't happen, you can get around that by teaching the truth. Just teach exactly what happened. I mean, it's pretty well known. Without calling it systemic racism. And, the fact that I think that these pushes are being made by people who do that America first or make America great again. Mm-hmm. Well, America has never been great for some of us. I mean, it hadn't been that great for a lot of us. So I think to be inclusive of everyone would be just teach the truth, teach what really happened, because genocide did happen, slavery did happen, Tulsa race massacre did happen. There's, just teaching the truth, has a lot of weight to it.
Do you think in the future, going out, if we see these trends, if we're assuming these are trends, are the tribal governments going to have to get involved in that education process more, do you think?
We really need to take up that mantle of educating our own with traditional and cultural methods, because depending on public schools to do that, we're always going to have this fight, not only about the racism or how our children are treated in schools, how history is taught, but also, every year we have all these schools that don't want to let our children wear their regalia mm-hmm. or an eagle or express their culture. It's time for us to start educating our own. And I think there's a sovereign school in Oklahoma City. There's Comanche Nation has an academy. It's time for all the tribes to start stepping up and doing their part. Oh, I forgot, Sequoia is now operated by Cherokee Nation. So there's some we could do that very easily.
Well, I think it's an interesting direction for the tribe to go in the future. It might be something that has to be done due to the overall political atmosphere in the state.
Yes.
Who do you want to give out contact information? I know on the flyer you have your phone number here for people who want to get involved in this particular event, Tuesday, July 13th. And for anybody who doesn't want to click on the flyer, you're to meet at the corner of 502 West 6th in downtown Tulsa at 5 p.m., just east of the Doubletree Hotel. And if you want to, you can bring signs, banners, flags, wear your traditional dress. Is there any other way that is there like a Facebook group for this or anything else that maybe I didn't mention?
Well, I have this under the Spirit, SPIRIT page that mm-hmm. I founded that group in 2007, and we routinely have demonstrations and things when we see injustice. You can also reach me by phone, 918-879-5013. I think that the place that we're going to meet actually faces the Cox Business Center, just east of the DoubleTree, like a block down. So that corner is very close to the Cox Business Center, and we should be visible to everyone coming and going.
And for this event, one of the things I didn't see, but I was going to ask you about is, are there any prohibitions for what you don't want people to bring?
Well, of course, we don't want any weapons. We'd ask that people who have their license to carry not do that tomorrow, just for safety's sake, because we all know the statistics of people getting shot accidentally by police or other people when they have a weapon. So any type of weapon, I would ask that because we are trying to make this peaceful. Also, not inflammatory. We're trying not to do anything that is going to negatively present something to the public. We want positive images. I would like to see, as many different tribal nations as possible represented in a positive manner. Let's go, let's be peaceful, let's show that we're united in our quest to have our treaty upheld. That's the bottom line.
Well, I think that's a great place to wrap. Is there anything else that we need to add before we get out of here?
Well, I'm going to have water. People don't forget to hydrate. There's plenty of shade on that street and public parking. Of course, it's going to be 5 o'clock traffic, so come early if you'd like. I'm going early. We're going to start walking at 5:30 for anybody that doesn't make it by 5, and hope to sit together in the center. So hope to see you there. Thank you for your interview today. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you on the program again, Miss Golden. And for everybody watching this, again, the flyer is in the description. You can download it there. And we're going to go and do our own coverage of the event and see how everything turns out and what happens. And we'll have that for you guys probably Wednesday morning. And again, contact information for Miss Golden is on the flyer and in this video. So thanks for tuning in today, and we appreciate you guys showing up, and we'll see you again next time.
Bravo.
Okay, thank